Hey everyone, I'm Brad and this is WatchRateHeart, and I'm continuing this week's special content talking about the best in 1995 films. Yesterday I discussed the best on camera, so today I'm discussing the best behind the camera. That's right, I'm going to discuss three categories today. Best screenplay from a previous source, best original screenplay, and best direction. So what are we waiting for? Let's find out what I think are the best behind the camera in 1995. Now, before we get started, a few things to point out here. Like yesterday's video, I will start with what was nominated for the Oscars, plus a bunch of other screenplays that I think should be included. Then I will come up with what I think will be in the top 5. Then I'll rank them from 5 to 1. And like yesterday, you will see the Postman Il Postino show up. It will be eliminated automatically because I did not watch the film because it is a 1994 film. Let's get started with the best screenplay from a previous source. We've got some interesting ones here. Start with the ones that were nominated for best screenplay from a previous source in the Oscars, and that is Apollo 13, Babe, Leaving Las Vegas, Il Postino the Postman, and Sense and Sensibility. And what I'm adding is The Bridges of Madison County, Clueless, Dead Man Walking, Get Shorty, Ghost in the Shell, La Ceremony, Maborosi, Smoke, To Die For, 12 Monkeys, and Whisper of the Heart. Okay, so I'm looking at the list right now here, and I can automatically say right now that, well, of course, Il Postino's out because, 1994 film. And what else can go right away? Leaving Las Vegas. When it comes to the screenplay, I think it's a good screenplay. I'm not really as enamored with it as many people are. I think it got nominated off the back of Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue, and I've discussed my feelings on Nicolas Cage's performance, so we'll leave it from there. Where else can we go from here? Let's stay with the Oscar-nominated ones. I think Babe can be eliminated. I think Babe is a very darling film. It's a very sweet film. But there are much better written films, I think, on here than Babe. So that will go. I will also say Smoke goes. Smoke has a very interesting feel to it. It kind of reminds me of just like a relaxed kind of, fuck it kind of feel to it. But if I'm being honest, the stories in the film aren't that interesting, so that can go. Dead Man Walking, I think that can go. Let's talk about what I think is staying. I think what is staying definitely will be Sense and Sensibility. I think Emma Thompson's screenplay was really good in that. I think what's also staying is La Ceremony, just a great screenplay that actually helps with the tension and building upwards and upwards as time goes. Maborosi is definitely going to stay. I love Maborosi. The way the film deals with grief, I think, was really well done. Elimination time. We got to eliminate more. Honestly, I would say Bridges of Madison County goes. I do like the romance a lot, but I think I like it because of how great the actors are in that film. So that is out. So I'm looking at the comedies too, and I have to say the two comedies, Get Shorty and Clueless, are gone. Get Shorty is a very good farce film dealing with filmmaking, and Clueless, I gotta tell you, one of the best films that has been made from a Jane Austen source is Clueless. I do have to say that. But honestly, comparing it to Sense and Sensibility, it's kind of hard to look at that and say it deserves to be in the 5 too, so I'm gonna say that goes. Okay, so here are two that I'm thinking about right here. Whisper of the Heart and Ghost in the Shell. Before I saw Whisper in the Heart, Ghost in the Shell would have been there, like, top 5 easily. I really liked Ghost in the Shell. Like, it was a fantastic movie. I still think it's a fantastic movie. But Whisper in the Heart does so many things so well. And if I'm being absolutely honest, I think when it comes to the animation and the world building, Ghost in the Shell is really good. But when it comes to what's actually on screen, what is written, what is spoken, I think I like Whisper in the Heart more. So I'm going to have to say Ghost in the Shell is out. That's a bit tough. We're down to 7 here. 7. Okay. Right away, To Die For is in, and I will also have to say Whisper of the Heart is in. So that's 5, which is a little surprising to me, but Apollo 13's out. Man, that's a hard one, but Apollo 13 is out. I think it's a great movie. I think the way that the film deals with the malfunction and how everything worked in that film, I think was really well done. It makes something incredibly technical seem really interesting, and it needs to be commended, but I'm going to say that's out. And 12 Monkeys, this is a hard one. I think 12 Monkeys would be my number 6 if there was a 6. But the way I look at it right now, when it comes to an adapted screenplay, I think 12 Monkeys is out. So that leaves me with the 5 being The Ceremony, Sense and Sensibility, Maborosi, To Die For, and Whisper of the Heart. So, where would I go from here? Pick something quick. See, this is a tough one, because a lot of these screenplays are ones that don't get enough love, and it's something that I would love to see them get a lot of attention that they should, but it's really hard to choose one. Okay. So, as much as I do love Sense and Sensibility, it is number 5. And again, I really do adore Sense and Sensibility, but compared to the other 4, I think they are much more interesting movies. So, number 5 would be Sense and Sensibility. Number 4, okay. All right, number 4 is Maborosi. I think what makes Maborosi work really well when watching the film is the quietness of the film. What Hirokazu Koreeda does with the screen and letting the actress portray the sadness with her face as the film goes on. Number 3. What would I do here? Number 3. Okay, number 3 is Whisper in the Heart, which is written by Hayao Miyazaki. I adore this movie. I think it's so good. I still have scenes on this film from when I last watched it in my head constantly. Man, that's tough, but I think it's 3. And this leaves me between To Die For and The Ceremony. What is number 1? And that's hard because these two movies are doing two different things, but with cunning and smart female characters. I am going to say number 1 is The Ceremony and number 2 is To Die For. So To Die For is a brilliant movie. I think the way that it portrays its character is both a true crime story, but also a story about being an ambitious woman. It does it in kind of a satirical way, but when you really dig down into it, it really isn't all that satirical. It's actually kind of scary to watch it at times. So I would say number 2 is To Die For, and number 1 is going to be The Ceremony. And The Ceremony just is a great film that ratchets up the unease, the discomfort that you're going to feel when you know something is about to happen that really shouldn't happen. And it does it so brilliantly and quietly in the film. I think it's a great screenplay that the actors and the director just does a masterful job using. My list for best screenplay from a previous source is number 5, Sense and Sensibility, that is written by Emma Thompson. Number 4 is Maborosi, written by Yoshihisa Ogita. Number 3 is Whisper of the Heart, written by Hayao Miyazaki. Number 2 is To Die For, written by Buck Henry. And number 1 is La Ceremony, written by Claude Cabral and Caroline Alexiev. All right, let's do this next list, which is Best Original Screenplay. And let's start with the 5 that was nominated for an Oscar. That was Braveheart, Mighty Aphrodite, Nixon, Toy Story, and The Usual Suspects. And the ones I'm adding are The American President, Antonia's Line, Dead Man, Before Sunrise, Fallen Angels, La Haine, Safe, Seven, Underground, Up, Down, Fragile, and Welcome to the Dollhouse. Okay, so let's just get started with the ones that were nominated for Oscars, and I'm going to say right off the rip, Braveheart's eliminated. I will say Mighty Aphrodite is eliminated. Nixon's eliminated. And I will definitely say The Usual Suspects is eliminated. Why those 4? So Braveheart, its most interesting parts are the battles. I think a little bit of the drama is good as well, but I really think that what makes that film stand out are those battles. Mighty Aphrodite, I just did not like. Same for The Usual Suspects. I hate The Usual Suspects. I hate the twist in The Usual Suspects. Oh my god. I'm not getting into that. And Nixon is way too long. I think Nixon could have done a lot better in a lot less time. So Nixon is out. Let's get into the ones I added and what I think should be eliminated. Okay, right away, The American President. I think The American President is a nice film. I think it's a sweet film. I enjoyed it. But is it a film that deserves to be in the top 5 of best screenplays? No, I don't think so. What else do we have here? So this is going to be another tough one. Okay, Dead Man, I will say, gets to be eliminated. Dead Man is a weird film that I do enjoy, but I think it's the visuals that make that weirdness work, so that's eliminated as well. Before Sunrise is eliminated, I would say. I like Before Sunrise. I like Before Sunrise a great deal. When it comes down to the Before trilogy, I think it gets better in the second film. The first film is very good, but I really think it hits another note on the second film, so I'm going to say it's out from there. What else should go here? Okay, next one that goes, I will say, is probably going to be Fallen Angels. That's gone. Fallen Angels is an interesting movie. I am starting to like Wong Kar-wai, but it's not one of his better films, so I'm going to say no to that. Up, Down, Fragile should go. I think Up, Down, Fragile is an interesting film, but I think it's interesting to watch. If it came to the writing, I'm a little bit kind of mixed on that, so that will go. I will also say 7 is out. When it comes to 7, I think 7 is much more of a visual film. I do like the twist in that film. I think it works very well. But when I think of 7, I think of Kevin Spacey's performance and the visuals that David Fincher shows in the film. I think visually, 7 does something amazing that I think is often replicated nowadays. Screenplay is a different story, but I would say when it comes to the visuals, that's where 7 is most important. So that is out. Ooh, this is tough. Let me tell you the few that I want to stay. I want Toy Story to stay. That's an important movie that has to stay. Underground should stay. Just the way that they blend genres is really good. Safe stays. Todd Haynes' script is really good in this film. Oh, okay, so I am looking at right now Antonia's Line. I'm looking at Welcome to the Dollhouse. And I'm looking at La Haine. Okay, La Haine has a great story that is powerful and it is tough and confrontational. And I think it's an amazing movie. And I think what enhances that is the visuals. So I'm going to say La Haine is out. And that leaves us with 5. We have Toy Story, Underground, Safe, Antonia's Line, and Welcome to the Dollhouse. Number 5 right away is going to be Welcome to the Dollhouse by Todd Solondz. A movie that I thought when watching it was going to be more messed up than it was really going to be. We've all heard of Happiness. I watched Storytelling a long time ago. Those can be kind of upsetting but still darkly humorous films. But Welcome to the Dollhouse deals with bullying in a very interesting way, and I think it needs to be shown how interesting it is. So I'm going to say Welcome to the Dollhouse is number 5. Number 4 I'm going to say is Toy Story. Toy Story is interesting in a number of ways. One, again, the first computer animated film, but why the screenplay for that? Because they have to keep in mind what computers can do at the time and what their limitations are. And it was the very first one to do it. And on top of that, Toy Story still works to this day. It still works as a story, and it still works as a great film as well. So I would say that is number 4. Number 3, what am I doing with number 3 here? Okay, you know what? Number 3 is Antonia's Line. I think this film could have not worked very well at all. I think this could have been a film that was messy and could have had a lot of issues going into it. The screenplay really stuck to what it wants to be and to have a clear vision. But what a lot of feminist media does wrong is they cling to the message and forget about character work. And this film does its character work really well, but it also gets the vibe of the film really good as well. So I have to give that to number 3 for Antonia's Line. Oh, okay. This is tough. Underground is a really interesting film that deals with disturbing and upsetting things, but in a very comedic, slapstick way. It almost reminds me of Life is Beautiful, only everything in Underground is played for comedy, whereas Life is Beautiful, there are sad parts in the film that make you want to feel sad. But looking at Safe deals with several topics and themes and does so brilliantly. So I am going to say number 2 is Underground and number 1 is Safe. I think Safe is just a brilliantly written movie. And honestly, a lot of it is helped by Julianne Moore's performance in that film, but really the screenplay does an amazing job having all these themes for Moore to play with. So my list is number 5, Welcome to the Dollhouse, number 4, Toy Story, number 3, Antonia's Line, number 2, Underground, and number 1, Safe. All right, let's get into our last category, which is Best Direction. And we have the 5 that were nominated for Oscars that year, which is Mike Figgis for Leaving Las Vegas, Chris Noonan for Babe, we have Michael Redford for Il Postino the Postman, Tim Robbins for Dead Man Walking, and Mel Gibson for Braveheart. The ones I'm adding are Marlene Goris for Antonia's Line, we have Clint Eastwood for Bridges of Madison County, Jean-Jacques Dunette and Mark Garrow for The City of Lost Children, we have Michael Mann for Heat, Claude Cabral for La Ceremony, Matthew Cassavetes for La Haine, Hirokazu Koreeda for Mavorosi, Todd Haynes for Safe, David Fincher for 7, Ang Lee for Sense and Sensibility, Gus Van Sant for To Die For, John Lasseter for Toy Story, Terry Gilliam for 12 Monkeys, Todd Solondz for Welcome to the Dollhouse, and Emir Kusturica for Underground. Now, let's start this off with a bunch I'm eliminating right away, and that is every single person that was nominated for an Oscar for this. First off, of course, Il Postino, didn't watch it, 1994 film. Tim Robbins for Dead Man Walking. God, is that a film that I would think about with direction? Not really. I think Braveheart is an uneven movie. Again, unless you want to talk about the battle scenes, which were really good, okay, I will grant you that, but I think the film was pretty uneven. And as for Leaving Las Vegas, I think there are some really nice shots in the film, but that is such a performance film. It's kind of hard for me to look at that and go, oh yeah, that's a director's film. Like, no, I don't think so. All right, let's get rid of the ones I put there just because I feel like I should just point it out. And that right away is The City of Lost Children. A very uneven film, but I think the visuals of the film are very striking and interesting. So I wanted to just say that, so that is out. Another one that I'm going to say is out is probably going to be Clint Eastwood's direction of The Bridges of Madison County. You know, there are some nice shots in the film. There are some pretty shots in the film. But really, that's a performance movie, and there's only so much you could do in 3 locations, so I guess I'm going to say that's out. Another movie I just wanted to point out, but eliminate right away, is Seven. Again, this film is going to be important for crime thrillers for a long time. But if I'm being absolutely honest, the thing that makes it stand out is the grisly imagery in the film. Everything else, is kind of boilerplate cop procedural. So I'm going to say that is out. Okay, so what's leaving? I'm going to say 12 Monkeys is also leaving. That was directed by Terry Gilliam. I think it's a fantastic movie. I really like Terry Gilliam's direction in the film. But there are much more interesting films that are directed very well. So I am going to say that's out. I'm also going to say Safe is out because I think the screenplay is what makes Safe really good, and the direction, as good as it is, isn't nearly as important. So that is out. I'm also going to say the same thing for La Ceremony, as much as that pains me. The screenplay is what really makes La Ceremony be really great. I think I said that in the screenplay section enough, so that's out. Where else am I going to go here? You know what? I'm going to also say that for Antonia's Line. Although some interesting visual flourishes in the film, I really think it's the writing that is most important in that film. So that's out. All right, so another elimination, I am going to go with, I'm going to have to go with Sense and Sensibility. Sense and Sensibility is a really good movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Again, when I think about what makes that film great, it's performances and it is writing. And the direction, although very good by Ang Lee, is not one of those things where I'm like, oh, all-time great directed film. That's not how I would think on that. So that's out. Welcome to the Dollhouse, I think, is also out. I should have eliminated that sooner. It's the screenplay of Welcome to the Dollhouse that I think is the big thing, along with Heather Matarasso's performance in that film. So I think that is out as well. We're down to 6. So Heat, Lahane, Maborosi, To Die For, Toy Story, and Underground. I am gonna have to say it's Maborosi. Maborosi is a quiet film. It's a film that has beautiful scenery changes, but it deals with its direction in what it's not showing and what it's not saying in a lot of ways. And that is an interesting way to direct a film. But I think the other 5 films that I have here, I think are more deserving of it. And if there was a number 6, Maborosi would be in it, but I think that's it. All right, so we are down to 5, and the 5 are Michael Mann for Heat, Matthew Cassavetes for Lahane, Gus Van Sant for To Die For, John Lasseter for Toy Story, and Emir Kusturica for Underground. This is a tough one. Okay. So right away, I'm going to give number 5 to John Lasseter. Is Toy Story my favorite of the Toy Story films? No, but it's an important film. And the fact that he was able to direct the film that well for a first-time computer animated film, I think speaks volumes for how much of a great job he did on that. Number 4, I'm going to go for To Die For. Okay, so To Die For, I think Gus Van Sant did a great job in this film. I think the film relies more on Nicole Kidman's performance than anything else. I'm going to say Gus Van Sant's number 4. This is tough. This is really tough. Number 3. Number 3 is Heat, directed by Michael Mann. If I'm being 100% honest, it is a cop procedural with really great actors in it, but what really stands out is the heist scene in the film, and the heist scene is amazing in this movie. I do like how well-paced it is, even though it is a 3-hour film. got all the credit for Michael Mann on this film. It's an amazing film, but I have to be honest, it's number 3. So we're down to 2, which is La Haine and Underground. And I gotta say number 2 is Matthew Cassavetes' direction of La Haine. It is tense, it is disturbing in parts, but it also has a darkly comedic edge that I was not expecting. It is definitely one of those films that are challenging, but does so without being exploitative. It is an incredibly well-made movie. So number 2 is La Haine, and number 1 is Emir Kusturica for Underground. And just the way he was able to blend the slapstick broad comedy with this very serious, very depressing subject matter really needs to be commended. And on top of that, Underground is a visually outstanding movie as well. Just an amazing movie overall that I think really was benefited from his direction. So number 5 is John Lasseter from Toy Story. Number 4 is Gus Van Sant from To Die For. Number 3 is Michael Mann for Heat. Number 2 is Matthew Cassavetes for La Haine. And number 1 is Emir Kusturica for Underground. And that is my list for favorite screenplays and direction from 1995. What are your thoughts on my list? How wrong am I? Let me know in the comments section. And tune in tomorrow while I discuss the best in films of 1995. I'm Brad from WatchRateHeart. Thank you for watching. And remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.